You have no difficulty trusting people. You have difficulty trusting that this time it will be different. There is a huge difference between these two things. And that difference can completely change the way you see yourself. Because most videos about trust start in the wrong place. They talk about techniques, about how to open your heart, about vulnerability as a choice. As if you simply hadn't tried that before. As if the problem were a lack of courage. But what if it isn't? What if what's happening inside you is much older, much deeper, and at the same time much more understandable than anyone has ever explained to you? That's what this video is about. This isn't self-help. This isn't internet therapy. This is an explanation. The explanation you may never have received about why trusting seems so dangerous. And if you've made it this far, part of you probably already knows that this topic is relevant to you. If this channel isn't already part of your life, subscribe now. Because what we discuss here isn't something you'll find just anywhere. So, let's start from the beginning. Not because of the beginning of your adult life. Not because of the relationship that ended badly, the friend who betrayed you, or the boss who used you. For the real beginning. When you were born, you didn't know how to do anything. He didn't know how to feed himself. He didn't know how to protect himself. He didn't even know how to regulate his own body. Temperature. You were completely dependent on another person. And at that moment, his brain was learning something fundamental. The most important thing a human being can learn in the first years of life. Is the world safe? Are the people around me trustworthy? If I need something, will someone show up? It's not philosophy. It's biology. It's your nervous system trying to understand the rules of the game before you even have the words to describe it. And the answer you received shaped everything. When a child cries and someone comes. When they are afraid and someone comforts them. When they make a mistake and someone explains instead of punishing them. When they need someone and they are there. The brain registers. Relationships are safe. People reach out. Asking for help works. But what about when a child cries and no one comes? When they are afraid and ignored? When they make a mistake and are humiliated? When they need help and hear, "Stop being dramatic. You're exaggerating. Figure it out yourself," the brain also records it. But this time, the message is different. Depending on someone is dangerous. Showing that you need help is a sign of weakness. Being alone is safer than risking disappointment. And here's the point that nobody tells you. This record isn't stored as a memory. It's not something you consciously remember as an adult. It's stored in the body. In the nervous system, as a reflex. As a survival instinct. So when today, decades later, someone gets too close, something freezes them. When someone asks, "Are you really okay?" and you feel like saying yes even when you're not, when you start to depend on someone and an inner voice says, "Careful," it's not weakness. It's not emotional immaturity. It's not you being difficult. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it's learned to do to keep you alive. And there's another layer to it, one that will make everything make sense. The human brain has a function that neuroscientists call generalization. It takes a specific experience and transforms it into a general rule. Have you ever been burned? Fire is dangerous. Rule learned. Behavior modified. But the brain doesn't differentiate very well between fire and people. If the people who should be the safest in the world, the first ones, the closest ones, the ones who had the obligation to be there, if those people hurt you, ignored you, disappointed you repeatedly, your brain hasn't learned that the people were dangerous. He learned that people are dangerous. That intimacy is dangerous. That need is dangerous. That trust is dangerous. If you recognize anything of yourself here, leave a like now. That tells me this content is reaching where it needs to reach. And comment below with a word that defines how you feel when someone tries to truly get close to you. And that's why it's pointless for someone to come along and say, "But I'm not like the people from your past." You know, this rationally. Your nervous system doesn't know. He doesn't discriminate. He only protects. Now I need to tell you something that perhaps no one has ever put to you exactly like this. You're not afraid of people. You're afraid of the pain you felt before. Read it again. You're not afraid of the person in front of you right now. You're afraid of what happened the last time you made space for yourself. The last time you asked for help and were ignored. The last time you showed you needed help and were called weak. The last time you trusted and ended up destroyed. His fear is not of the future. It's a memory from the past, disguised as intuition. And this fear appears in ways that seem normal. So normal that you probably never associated it with what happened back then. It appears when someone offers you help and you automatically refuse. Even when you need it. Even when you're exhausted. Even when you're at your limit. Because accepting help means admitting that you need it. And needing help in your history has never been safe. It happens when you're in a relationship and things start getting too good. Too close. And suddenly you sabotage it. You disappear. You start a fight out of nowhere. Not because you don't want that person, but because your nervous system interpreted the proximity as a threat. The closer you get, the more it will hurt when you're gone. It appears when you carry everything alone. The work, the bills, the decisions, the problems, the emotions, everything, without asking, without sharing, without showing that it's a heavy burden, because you learned too early that no one will show up. So you became the adult that no one was for you. At 5 years old. At 8. At 12. It appears when someone asks how you are and you automatically say, I'm fine. Even before processing the question. Even before verifying if it's true. Because showing that things aren't going well has already come at too high a cost before. It appears when you need to control everything. The schedule, the plans, the details, the variables. Not because you're a control freak by nature, but because control is the only way you've found to feel safe in a world that has taught you that things fall apart when you relax. It happens when someone disappoints you once and you cut them off completely. No chance. No discussion. Not because you're cold, but because your pain threshold was reached a long time ago. And you no longer have room for risk. It appears in exhaustion. That specific kind of exhaustion that doesn't go away with sleep. That doesn't disappear on the weekend. That's there even when your life from the outside seems to be going well. It's the exhaustion of always being on guard. Of monitoring people's tone of voice. Of calculating how much you can show. Of smiling when you're broken inside. Of being strong when all you wanted was to just be human. And there's a phrase that keeps popping into your head. Perhaps not in those exact words, but with that meaning. If I depend on someone, I'll be disappointed. Better to do it yourself. Better not to need it. Better not to wait. Being alone hurts less than trusting someone and being abandoned. You didn't choose to believe that. You were taught to believe that. Due to absence. Due to criticism. Due to negligence. Due to people who should have shown you otherwise and didn't. And now I need to tell you the most important part of all. This. The part that is the turning point. Everything you developed to survive your childhood, it worked. You are here. You went through all of that. The coldness, the silence, the criticism, the absence, the feeling that you needed to be small enough not to bother anyone or strong enough not to need anyone, and you survived. Hyper-independence is not a personality flaw. It was a shield you built when you were too small to have any other resources. The difficulty in trusting is not emotional immaturity. It's your nervous system performing exactly the function it was trained for. To protect you. To keep you whole. Resistance to vulnerability is not weakness disguised as strength. It's your body's memory telling you that the last time you were vulnerable, it cost you too much. You're not broken. You're adapted. There's a huge difference between these two things. But here's what nobody tells you. What was a necessary adjustment in childhood can become a prison in adulthood. The shield that protected you when you were 8 years old is still on your arm at 30-5. And it weighs a lot. You can feel that weight. It's the burden of never fully relaxing, of never receiving without suspicion, of never approaching without calculating the exit strategy, of never sleeping soundly, because some part of you is still on guard. And the problem isn't that you built that shield. The problem is that nobody taught you that one day you could land it. Not all at once. Not for just anyone. Not naively, but to land. Because the security you never received from the outside. It's possible to start building from within, not through motivational phrases. Not through willpower. but through something much simpler and much more difficult at the same time. Through new evidence. Your brain learned that people are dangerous through repetition. Through experiences that happened again and again and again, until they became absolute truth, the only thing that rewrites. A belief learned through repetition. It's a reverse repetition. New experiences, small, safe, that arrive slowly and stay. A person who asks how you are and genuinely expects an answer. A moment when you ask for help and someone shows up. Once you show that you're not okay, the world doesn't fall apart. It won't all change at once. Your nervous system doesn't work that way, but it's changing. Cell by cell, experience by experience, and perhaps the first step isn't trusting another person. Perhaps the first step is to trust yourself, enough to recognize that what happened to you matters. That what you felt was real. That you didn't exaggerate. That you weren't weak. That you were a child who needed more than you received. And that it wasn't your fault. It never was. You spent years thinking the problem was you. That you were too difficult. Too closed off. Too demanding. Too suspicious. But the truth is, you were responding in a completely logical way to an environment that taught you that making space hurts. You are not broken. You're waiting for evidence. That this time it might be different. And I hope that one day you will find people, moments, and experiences that will give you that evidence. Slowly, carefully, the way you needed when you were little and didn't get it. You deserve this. Not as a reward. Not as an achievement. As a right. If this video touched something real inside you, leave a like now. Not for the channel. For yourself. As a gesture of acknowledging that this pain is real and that you deserve to understand it. And comment below. Which phrase resonated most with you? I want to read every answer. And the video that's playing on the screen now, it continues this conversation about what happens when you grow up without having your emotions validated. It doesn't end here.